Let me tell you something that might sting a little at first. Nobody cares. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's losing sleep over your excuses. And that's not meant to discourage you. It's meant to liberate you. Because the moment you understand this truth is the moment you take back your power. You see, the world doesn't hand success to the most talented, the best looking, or even the most deserving. It hands it to the ones who refuse to quit, the ones who are too busy working to complain. So get up, wipe the tears, shut down the excuses, and work harder. Pain is a universal experience. Everyone feels it. No one escapes it. Whether it's the sting of failure, the ache of rejection, the weight of disappointment, or the loneliness that comes when things don't go as planned, we've all been there. But here's the truth. Pain, as real as it is, doesn't have to define your direction. It's not the pain itself that determines your future. It's how you respond to it. Because while pain is inevitable, progress is a choice. And that choice is entirely in your hands. You see, life doesn't stop just because you're tired. The world doesn't hit pause to give you time to catch your breath. The sun still rises, the bills still come, the deadlines still approach. That's the reality of the world we live in. And you can either use that reality as a reason to complain or a reason to rise. When you're hurt, emotionally, mentally, even physically, there's a voice in your head that whispers, take it easy, you've been through enough, just stop. And that voice is seductive. It feels like it's protecting you, robbing you of growth, robbing you of strength, robbing you of becoming who you were meant to be. Because the pain you're feeling today might be preparing you for the strength you'll need tomorrow. But only if you let it. Only if you lean into it instead of running from it. Think about it. When a muscle is worked, it tears. That's pain. But in that tearing is the beginning of growth. When it's repaired, it becomes stronger, bigger, more resilient. And that's exactly how life works. The trials, the tough seasons, the setbacks, they're the gym for your character. They're the weight room for your willpower. But too many people use pain as a bed. They lay in it, they wrap themselves in their excuses, in their why me stories, and stay there. They begin to identify with the pain rather than rise above it. They let one heartbreak ruin their belief in love. One business failure convinced them they're not cut out for success. One rejection tricked them into thinking they're not enough. But winners don't do that. Winners use pain as fuel. They don't let it paralyze them. They let it propel them. You take every no, every betrayal, every broken piece of their past and use it as a reason to get better, not bitter. Because deep down they know progress is a choice. And they choose it daily. Let me give you a quick example. Imagine a young man named Marcus. He grew up in a rough neighborhood, raised by a single mother, never had much. In high school, he tried out for the basketball team, got cut. The next year, tried again, cut again. His friends laughed at him, called him foolish for trying again. Most people would have quit. Most people would have taken that pain and sat with it, but not Marcus. He didn't let those cuts define him. Instead, he woke up every day at 5, I-am-I-ing, practiced alone on a worn-down court, shot until his hands bled, ran drills when no one was watching. By his senior year, he made the team, not just as a bench warmer, but as the starting point guard. He used the very pain that broke others as the motivation to push himself harder. And later, he earned a scholarship, played college ball, and became the first in his family to graduate. Was the pain real? Absolutely. But so was his progress. Because he chose it. He made a decision that pain wasn't going to be the end of his story. It was going to be the beginning of a better chapter. That's what this is all about. You're going to face moments in life where it feels like the world is against you, like you've been knocked down one too many times. But in those moments, You have a decision to make. You can let the pain bury you, or you can stand back up, dust yourself off, and use it as the reason you refuse to stay where you are. Because strength isn't built in comfort. Character isn't built in convenience. And success never comes to those who wait for the pain to pass. It comes to those who work through it. Those who keep moving forward when everything inside them says stop. So if you're hurting right now, good. That means you're alive. That means you have something worth fighting for. And if you want to change your life, start by changing how you look at pain. See it not as a punishment, but as preparation. Not as something to avoid, but as something to grow from. The pain is real, yes, but the power to progress is even more real, and it's yours. Excuses are the comfort food of failure. They taste good in the moment. They make you feel justified, but in the end, they leave you with nothing. And they don't change your situation. They don't build your future, and they most certainly don't build empires. The truth is, no one gets to the top by pointing fingers. Nobody ever reached greatness by blaming the weather, the economy, their parents, their teachers, or the system. The ones who rise, they rise in spite of it all. You'll hear people say, I didn't get the opportunity, but opportunities aren't given, they're created. They're built in the dark. They're born through action, not complaints. For every person who says they didn't get the chance, there's someone else out there who made one for themselves. While some wait for a door to open, others are out there building the whole house. And when you understand that, you stop waiting for life to be fair. You start working with what you've got. One of the most dangerous beliefs you can carry is that someone else is supposed to believe in you more than you believe in yourself. They don't support me. They don't clap for me. They said I wouldn't make it. So what? You don't need permission. You need vision. You don't even need applause, you need discipline. The moment you stop expecting people to validate you, you become unstoppable. Because now you're not fueled by praise, you're fueled by purpose. It's not fair. How many times have you heard that? Maybe you've even said it yourself. But here's the hard truth. Life was never designed to be fair. It was designed to be faithful to the principles that govern growth. You plant seeds, you water them, you nurture the soil, and you wait. That's the law. You can't scream at the ground for not giving you a harvest if you never planted anything. Likewise, you can't scream at life for not rewarding you when you've spent your time making excuses instead of making moves. Your future isn't sitting there, waiting patiently for you to finish blaming everybody else. Your future is waiting on your effort, your grind, your sacrifice, your willingness to show up and do the work even when no one sees it, because that's the currency of success. Consistent action without guaranteed reward. And here's a principle that too many people ignore. If you're not willing to do more than you're paid for, don't expect to be paid more than you do. Success doesn't pay for intentions. It pays for execution. You don't get promoted for doing the bare minimum. You get promoted when you treat your current position like it's your dream job, even if it's not. You get rewarded when you do the small things with excellence, not when you whine about not having the big things yet. Let me give you a quick example. There was a young man named Elijah. He worked at a grocery store stocking shelves on the night shift. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't where he wanted to be. But instead of complaining, instead of calling out sick every other day, instead of showing up late with a bad attitude, he showed up early. He stayed late. He learned the layout of the store better than anyone. He helped customers even when it wasn't his job. He smiled when others scowled. People told him he was wasting his time. They said, "You're just a stock boy. What's the point?" But Elijah had vision. He believed that how you do one thing is how you do everything. And because he worked like he was running the store, eventually he did. The manager noticed his work ethic and trained him. Within a year, he was leading his own team. 5 years later, he opened his own small business. And it all started because he refused to make excuses and chose effort instead. That's what separates the dreamers from the doers. The ones who build legacies are the ones who take full ownership of where they are and where they're going. They don't waste time waiting for the storm to pass. They learn how to dance in the rain. They don't let obstacles become their identity. They face them, learn from them, and grow through them. Excuses are easy. They're everywhere. They let you off the hook. But they also chain you to mediocrity. And if you want to build anything meaningful, whether it's a business, a career, a family, a future, you've got to let go of the stories you tell yourself about why it can't happen. You've got to stop pointing fingers and start lifting weights. Start pushing yourself. Start believing that the power is in your hands. So the next time your mind reaches for an excuse, pause. Ask yourself, is this helping me grow or keeping me stuck? Is this moving me forward or giving me a way out? And then choose effort, choose ownership, choose action. Because empires are not built by chance, they are built by choice. And every time you reject an excuse, you are laying one more brick on the foundation of the life you were born to build. Motivation is a beautiful thing. It can lift your spirits, ignite your dreams, and give you that push to get started. But let's be honest, it doesn't last. Motivation is like a spark. It catches quickly, burns bright for a moment, and then fades. You wake up one morning fired up to chase your goals, and the next day that fire is gone, replaced by excuses, fatigue, or distractions. That's where most people fall off. They wait for motivation to carry them, but motivation was never meant to carry you. It was only meant to start you. What sustains you, what drives real progress, what turns goals into reality is discipline. Discipline is the fire that keeps burning long after the spark has died out. It's the engine that runs even when you don't feel like moving. It doesn't ask you how you feel. It doesn't care if it's raining outside, if you didn't sleep well, or if no one's cheering you on. Discipline just shows up. And that's exactly what it takes to win in this world. Not talent, not luck, not motivation, discipline. Think about the things you do every day without question. Brushing your teeth, for example. You don't wake up and ask yourself, do I feel inspired to brush my teeth today? No. You do it because it's necessary. You do it because it's part of your routine. You do it because the cost of not doing it is too high. That's exactly how you should treat your goals, your dream, your grind. They shouldn't depend on your mood. They should be part of your non-negotiable routine. Set a routine. Wake up with a plan, not just hope. Guard your time. Don't let distractions steal your energy. Say no to the things that don't align with your mission. Say no to temporary pleasures that cost you long-term progress. And most importantly, show up. Show up when it's hard. Show up when it's cold. Show up when your mind is full of doubts and your body wants to quit. Because those are the days that define you. It's easy to show up when you're excited. It's easy to work when the music's loud, the coffee's strong, when you're feeling good. But champions are made in the silent hours, when no one's watching, when there's no applause, when the grind is lonely and the results are invisible. That's when discipline kicks in. And here's the truth. Nobody cares about your grind until you win. No one's going to pat you on the back for waking up early, staying late, sacrificing weekends. Not yet. But when you succeed, when you rise, when you stand on that podium or cash that check or build that legacy, suddenly everyone's paying attention. Suddenly they care. But you've got to get there first. And that path is paved with discipline. Let me give you an example. There was a young woman named Tasha. She wanted to run a marathon. The problem? She wasn't a runner. Not even close. In fact, the first time she tried jogging, she barely made it to the end of her block without gasping for breath. She felt discouraged. But instead of waiting to feel motivated again, she made a decision. She set a schedule, run every morning at 6 a.m., rain or shine. She didn't care if she felt like it. She didn't care if her legs were sore. She showed up day after day. There were no social media posts, no crowd cheering her on. Just quiet steps in the dark, one after another. Some mornings it was freezing. Some days her body begged her to stay in bed, but she didn't listen to the feelings. She listened to the commitment. 6 months later, she ran her first marathon, crossed the finish line with tears in her eyes. Not because it was easy, but because she earned it. Her family and friends were proud. Strangers clapped. People asked how she did it, but only she knew the truth. It wasn't motivation, it was discipline. That's the kind of story you want for yourself. One that's built, not gifted. One that's shaped by small, repeated choices to stay locked in when it's easier to check out. Because your life will not change because you felt inspired once. It will change because you built a system that doesn't wait on inspiration. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, the ideal mood, the supportive environment. Build a system, build habits, build routines that carry you when your emotions can't. Because emotions lie, feelings fade. But discipline shows up every day. And if you keep showing up, one day the results will too. That's how empires are built. That's how goals are crushed, not in bursts of hype, but in the boring, quiet, consistent effort that no one sees. Until they do. We live in a world where people are addicted to talking. Everyone wants to post about what they're going to do. They want to tell the world about their goals before they even take the first step. But the truth is, real success doesn't need an announcement. It doesn't need a press release. Real success is quiet. It's built in silence and revealed in results. You don't need to explain yourself to anyone. Let your work speak. Let your actions shout louder than your intentions ever could. Every time you share your dream with people who don't understand your vision, you invite doubt. Every time you talk about what you're going to do before you do it, you risk losing momentum because now it's out there. Now you've got people watching, not to support you, but to see if you fail. But when you work in silence, when you grind without telling everyone, you keep your energy focused, you protect your vision, and most importantly, you stay hungry. While they're talking, you're building. While they're watching videos, you're reading books. While they're out every weekend, you're up late studying, working, preparing. That's the secret. Quiet consistency beats loud intentions every single time. Because while most are looking for applause for just starting, the ones who really win are busy finishing. They don't care who sees them in the beginning. They care about where they end up. There's something powerful about moving in silence. It keeps you grounded, keeps you focused. When you're not trying to impress anyone, you're free to improve. You don't need validation. You don't need likes or comments. Your work is your proof. Your progress is your reply to every doubt, every hater, every moment someone thought you couldn't do it. Success doesn't scream, it whispers. It whispers to those who stay disciplined when no one's watching. It whispers to those who give their all even when there's no spotlight. You see, success isn't built on noise. It's built in the early mornings, in the quiet nights, in the reps nobody sees, the hours no one talks about, the grind that doesn't make the highlight reel. Let me give you a real example. There was a young man named Eli who wanted to become a professional graphic designer. But he didn't come from money. He didn't have the best laptop or fancy software. In fact, he started with free online tools and an old computer that crashed every hour. But he didn't complain. He didn't go around telling everyone about how unfair it was. He just worked. Every night after his part-time job, he'd come home, study design tutorials, practice, experiment, and build his portfolio in silence. No tweets, no posts, no bragging, just quiet, relentless effort. People around him didn't even know he was grinding. They just thought he was always busy. 2 years later, he got hired by a major tech company for a position that people with degrees and experience were fighting for. When they asked him how he made it, His answer was simple. I didn't talk about it. I just did the work. And that's the message. Do the work. Keep your head down. Be relentless in private. Because one day, your success will be too loud to ignore. You won't have to say a word. Your results will speak on your behalf. Your name will come up in rooms you've never entered. Your grind will be respected by those who once overlooked you. But only if you're willing to stay quiet long enough to build something that matters. Too many people want to win out loud before they've done anything. They want the celebration before the sacrifice. But it doesn't work that way. If you want people to respect your work, you have to work. If you want your name to carry weight, you have to put in the reps when nobody's watching. You can't microwave greatness. You've got to slow cook it in silence. So remember this. Keep your goals to yourself. Let your progress be your announcement. Let your wins come from your actions, not your words. While they scroll, you study. While they rest, you rise. While they dream, you execute. Don't be the person who talks big but delivers small. Be the one who moves in silence but arrives with impact. Because in the end, people don't remember what you said. They remember what you did. Let that be your legacy. Let your work write your story. Let your silence build your strength. And let your results make the noise. We live in a world that often waits for a sign, for a perfect moment, for a green light from the universe before taking action. But that's not how favor works. That's not how progress happens. The formula isn't just belief, it's belief plus bold action. That's where the power is. That's where the favor begins to show up. You can't just pray for success, close your eyes, and expect things to fall into your lap. That's not faith. That's fantasy. Real faith puts on work boots. Real faith rolls up its sleeves and says, let's go. You see, faith is not a wish. It's not hoping the stars align. It's knowing in your soul that what you desire is possible and then moving like it already belongs to you. When you walk in faith and back it up with action, something supernatural happens. The path may not be clear, but it starts forming beneath your feet because you dared to step. Too many people are standing still, waiting for clarity, waiting for confirmation. But the favor you're looking for doesn't come to the idle, it comes to the active. Stop waiting for perfect timing. There's no such thing. The right time is the moment you decide. You weren't created to live on pause. You weren't built to wait for permission. You were born with purpose already inside you. But purpose means nothing without movement. You can have the blueprint to build a mansion, but if you never pick up a brick, you'll stay living in a shack. It's not just what you believe, it's what you do with what you believe that changes your life. A lot of people say they trust the process, but they don't want to show up for it. They want the crown without the cross. They want the rewards without the work. But let me tell you something. God doesn't reward the whiner, he rewards the worker. Favor follows effort. Miracles show up in motion. You have to give God something to bless, a dream, a goal, a plan, a step, a seed. You can't just talk about it, you got to be about it. There's a story about a young woman named Tasha. She dreamed of opening her own bakery. Everyone told her it wasn't realistic. She didn't have the money, the equipment, or the connections. But she had faith. She believed that if she moved, something would happen. So instead of sitting at home hoping for a loan, she started baking in her tiny apartment kitchen with secondhand tools and selling her cupcakes at local farmers markets on weekends. It wasn't easy. There were rainy days when no one showed up, days when she barely broke even, but she kept going. She stayed faithful. She stayed consistent. And one day, a well-known local chef stopped by her booth, tasted her cupcakes, and offered to partner with her to open a storefront. Today, she runs one of the most popular bakeries in her city. She didn't wait for favor. She worked into it. She walked in faith, acted in courage, and the doors began to open. That's how it works. When you move like it's already yours, the world responds differently. When you carry yourself like it's already written, people start to notice. Not because you're loud, but because you're aligned. You're no longer begging for opportunities, you're building towards them. You're not chasing validation, you're creating value. That's what faith and work together look like. And let's be clear, it doesn't mean the road is easy. There will still be trials, there will still be setbacks, but when your effort is fueled by faith, your grind becomes different. You no longer give up because it's hard, you push harder because you know it's yours. You don't quit because the door is closed, you knock again, and if it doesn't open, you build your own. Because faith says, I may not see it yet, but I know it's coming. And work says, I'll be ready when it does. Favor is not just about being lucky, it's about being prepared. It's about being consistent when nobody's watching. It's about showing up when you're tired, pushing when you feel stuck, and trusting that your discipline will pay off, because it will. It may not come the way you expect, it may not come on your timeline, but it will come if you keep moving. So don't sit around waiting for the stars to align. Don't wait for someone to give you the green light. Walk like it's already yours. Work like the door is already open and you're just walking through it. Don't talk yourself out of your own calling. Don't let doubt delay your destiny, and don't let comfort keep you from greatness. Because here's the truth. Nobody's going to hand it to you. But that's okay, because you were never meant to be handed anything. You were meant to build it, to earn it, to own it. That's where the favor is, not in waiting, but in working. Not in wishing, but in walking by faith. So get up. Move forward. Act boldly. Your favor is already written. You just have to put in the work to reach it. And when you do, when you finally arrive, you'll realize it was never luck. It was never coincidence. It was the result of your faith plus your hustle, your belief plus your effort. And that right there is the formula for favor. Here's the bottom line. Nobody cares. But you should. You should care enough about your future to fight for it. You should care enough about your calling to bleed for it. You should care enough about your legacy to rise no matter how many times you fall. So get up, wipe off the doubt, push harder, believe deeper, work smarter, grind louder, because your destiny isn't for the weak-hearted. It's for the ones who are willing to do the work when no one claps. It's for those who are tired but still refuse to quit. And if you ever feel like giving up, just remember this. Nobody cares, so you better get up and work harder.